Okay, let's get started. So, I am Fawzation, the head admin of AlphaGrad. I'm also the founder. We've been doing this for about 3 years now, with the Zero to Hero program going on for approaching a year, not quite a year yet. The first sort of thing that I wanted to discuss is sort of where we're at in terms of the server itself, and then I will go into sort of the resources that we provide, and then I will have an open discussion on sort of the structure of the Zero to Hero groups. Double digits people have sort of messaged me asking me what is going on in regards to the study groups and with suggestions on how to reformat them. So I figured we'd have a nice open discussion on how to reformat them. If you're not comfortable talking in front of 20 plus people, then you can also just directly message me, and I have no problem hopping in a voice chat channel with you or just discussing it over DM about what changes you'd like to see. I see the majority of the people who have messaged me are in this voice chat right now, which is kind of what I expected, which is awesome. So sort of the state of AlphaGrad currently, we made the server sometime in January of 2018. Since then, we've collected about 1,300 members, with about 600 people signing up for the Zero to Hero program. That's the Zero to Hero program started in January of 2021. So, how long is that? 9 or 10 months ago or so. The majority of the people signed up in this wave currently, so the majority of you, with the exception of like Die Master and maybe a few others, is focused on the trifecta certifications from CompTIA. That doesn't mean that if you're not studying a trifecta certification that we don't value you or anything like that. We're focusing on all certifications. It's just the majority of the groups that I have sorted so far, which is probably been about 115 people have gone into trifecta certifications, with the main focus going into A+ and Security+. Now, I just want to quickly go over a few resources that we also have. We have the website AlphaGrad Academy, which our very own Nebula, who's another admin here, created and slaved over for a few months, I would say. He did an awesome job with it, and that's where we hold our study guides. The study guides are taken directly from A+, Network+, and Security+, and broken down onto day-by-day goals on what you have to study and everything. That way it's a little bit easier for you to follow along in a group format as opposed to just an individual format. It's much easier to say I'm on day 9 of Network Plus instead of saying I'm on subnetting, this section of subnetting, so that's why we broke it down based on that. We also have a YouTube channel that we have been sort of we haven't uploaded it as much to it as much as I'd want. We have a few videos on there that are a little handy, but we are looking at expanding and uploading more videos to it. The other resource that we have is we actually have a subreddit r/AlphaGrad. The other Forest, besides myself, created it and has added a bunch of resources. The resources added onto it aren't really focused on an individual certification. They're just more of a resource database and everything. And we also have a tip jar, which you can find integrated onto our website. Now that the sort of main body of what I wanted to say is out of the way, I do want to talk about Zero to Hero groups. At this point, you'll have noticed that at least 1 or 2 people in your group aren't active. That is unfortunately unavoidable. We don't really have a screening process to make sure that people are going to stay active in a study group. I'm glad that there's a decent amount right now so we can treat it almost immediately and move forward. There are 2 study groups who haven't sent a single message, which will be gone by the end of Friday because I just don't have time for people not responding anymore. I've seen hundreds of people do this at this point, and it'll be nice to sort of get it out of the way early. I've already reshuffled a few people because they have complained that there isn't enough activity in their group. I fully anticipate to continue to do this throughout the week. That's why I want all the groups solidified probably by Monday, I would say. I've had probably 5 or 6 requests to have it more time zone based. I am totally okay with the people in this voice chat who are taking the most initiative to request a change and state their time zone, and then I can work with other people who have suggested it in this voice chat and create a brand new group right now. Or not right now, but after this video. I had two suggestions on utilizing web-based software called When to Meet, and I'm also comfortable creating study groups based on when people are available to study, which I think would be more beneficial than based on time zones exclusively. The other thing I wanted to touch on real quick is I think we have like 4 or 5 people out of the 25 groups or 23 groups signed up for team leads. I would like that number to at least double today. That would be really nice. Just so the reason that we are creating team leads for groups this time around is because it is very, very hard to communicate with 100+ people on different issues or problems that might be coming up with the program. That way, having a representative for every 5 or 6 people makes it a lot easier for me to sort of macro manage everything that's happening. I'm just one person. I'm the only person who's sorted people into study groups, so it would just be nice to have those team leads so I can have sort of a face to each group. And yeah, that's sort of the main stuff that I had to discuss. If you had any suggestions, questions, or anything, now's sort of the time to ask. I did say it's going to be 30 to 90 minutes. It probably won't go to 90 minutes, but this is sort of the open aspect of a town hall meeting. I would like to sort of hear from all of you on what you like, what you hate, what you want changed, that sort of stuff. So whoever wants to speak first, go ahead and unmute yourself and speak your mind.
Yeah, I just have a question. Can you explain the role of a team lead, please?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, think of a team lead as sort of a liaison between your group and myself, or your group and Nebula. So basically, like I said earlier, macro micromanaging 100 people is really difficult. So instead of managing a bunch of people, like to the point where I can't handle that amount of people, it's easier just to have like say 23 people who I know and have had open conversations with before talk to each other. Does that answer your question, Oliver?
Yeah. Also, while we're on the same topic of a team lead, I guess how often would you like them to be active with like their dedicated group? Because I would imagine it's like a somewhat of a commitment, especially with like personal life and stuff. Like, what would we have to do on a day-to-day basis, essentially?
I wouldn't necessarily look at it as a day basis thing. It definitely can be if you want to. I would say an absolute minimum of once per week, but preferably like 2 or 3 times a week. You can do it daily if you want. I have no problem with people communicating in that level. It's just when I wake up in the morning and see 20+ direct messages, it sort of gets a little overwhelming for me to try and clear them as I'm getting ready for work and everything. So if you want to message daily, you can. If you want to message once a week, that's cool too. Whatever you prefer.
Sounds good. I'll private message you if I would want to be a team lead.
For sure.
So I have a question about the study groups.
For sure.
After you break everybody out into their individual study groups, how many people are usually in like a study group, and does the team lead or does the group in general maybe follow? And I don't want to say a guideline because everybody learns and studies at different paces, but like, like I'm going through this an official cert guide, and I'm just going chapter by chapter, right?
For sure.
So I don't know if there's going to be like a layout for the study group, that way it's easier for if people are all like, if you have a time frame for completing a piece of a subject matter, it might be easier to, learn and discuss. I don't know if that's kind of the route a team lead would go.
Yeah. So to answer your first question, we are, unless there's some sort of circumstance that is kind of unavoidable, we're capping groups at 6 people. We are aiming for 5 people. That includes the team leader. As for what you mentioned with people learning at different speeds and everything, once we do have a few different phases to this. So the first phase is organizing people into the groups and everything, and then we can move on from there. The next thing that we're going to work on is with the team lead and the team members individually. This was sort of going to be part of the team building exercise that I'm getting people to schedule with me, is figure out a study pace that works for everyone. everyone does learn at a different speed and everything. So if we have a group of 5 people and 3 of them want to get their certification done by November 1st, that is totally cool. And the other 2 people want to learn at a slower pace, let's say January or something like that. That way we can sort of intervene and switch up the groups as needed. Like I said, I want to try and have the group solid and good to go by Monday, but that's flexible and everything. My goal for the next 2 weeks is just to get groups good to go and everything, and then to have solid study plans for them all and everything. Does that answer your question, Billy?
Yes, thank you very much, man.
For sure. Yeah, there is also a channel for team leads, so you can also message your concerns there. That works too. It's just more my DMs are getting full just because a bunch of individuals are messaging me. That's why having a sort of liaison between a study group and myself is massively beneficial. Next one.
I like to kind of chime in a little bit.
For sure.
Cool. So I'll be fully honest. I joined a while ago. I'm not even sure. I guess when I first ordered my first book from for studying the CompTIA A+ certificate, and I'll be honest, just being so busy, I've been a little. My participation is pretty much non-existent. But I do definitely want to do better now that pretty much having 3 jobs, being broken down now to a 1 full-time job, and still doing college. It's been a whole lot less on my plate. But I still want to get my search. With that being said, my suggestion, and I'm kind of inclined to participate as a team lead, it's let's go ahead and get some team leads on the table, so that way when we start separating groups, we can separate those groups based on everyone being on the same time zone. Because I think that's one of the biggest challenge when I was in a study group. There was no to little participation of any kind. And it may have been a combination of people not being active on Discord to people not even being awake, because I'm on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast. That's a 3-hour difference right there. So I think that would be my input, to have groups broken down in the same time zone to kind of at least have that communication going.
For sure. Yeah, I'm totally cool with reorganizing groups based on time zone. In the past, I've noticed, I'm not sure which iteration of the program you joined in, but every other one besides this one has been done based on study group, based on a time zone, sorry. And it's been a mixed, sort of mixed results and everything. Like, some people are sort of up pretty late, some aren't. I'd say more the idea of having a set, each person filling out when they're available to study might be more beneficial to creating study groups than, say, based on time zones, because someone on the East Coast could, for instance, want to study, I don't know, in between midnight and 3 a.m. or something like that, which would work better for a West Coast based team versus an East Coast based team. So I think maybe focusing on that might also be a beneficial idea.
Sure.
But yeah, does that answer your question, Phoenix?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What would you suggest for groups when most in the group have already gotten the certification we're studying for? Okay, so with that one, I'm going to treat that more on a case-by-case basis. So if you are, let's say you're on a team of 5 and 3 people already have the certifications and the other 2 don't plan on getting it for another month or so, you can open up a line of communication with me and we can talk about maybe transferring you into a different study group, and we can work on that. Anonymous Karen. Yeah, I remember our conversation from last night, Karen, about this, and that would work really well. My main concern is I want to create teams where they're working together on certain objectives. How I normally run it, if I'm myself in a study group, is I like to pretty much study the stuff on my own and then review it. Review, say, a chapter or a set of days in the study guide after I've personally studied it, to sort of imprint that knowledge into my brain. Yeah, and we can work on creating a sort of solution. Die Master is also saying we could create a schedule to help groups study better. And yeah, that is sort of what the team lead is going to do. Does anyone have any voice questions they'd like to ask?
So when you're talking about the group following, reviewing a chapter or whatever,
Yep.
How do you make sure, or how do you know who has the same material? You can I guess you can read, like, for instance, network fundamentals or whatever, but are you assuming that people are going to be using the same, like, source material
That's a great
for
question.
study?
So in a perfect world, everyone's using the same study resource, like the same textbook, that sort of stuff. What I would recommend is of more focusing on the exam objectives more than anything else. So like, let's take CCNA for instance, because I know that's the one you're studying. Um, you could look at the exam objectives for a certain section of it, and then say, hey, let's study this area for the next week. That something like that. I'm just sort of making general statements about how long it takes to study a section, and from there you're sort of able to figure out where everyone's at. Of course, with different textbooks, they're going to have the same subject matter on different areas of it, and they'll phrase it differently too. But the same sort of things you need to pass the certifications are all going to be somewhat similar, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. Awesome.
For sure.
Can I
Yep.
add something?
Jump in.
I was just gonna say regarding the same resources, how do you feel about sharing resources that we've
Cool.
accumulated?
I'm so glad you asked that. Okay, so I'm going to be as blunt as I possibly can. As a larger server, and the fact that we are partnered with like O'Reilly textbooks, for instance, you cannot share copyrighted materials with each other. We can't allow it as a server of our size. We couldn't even allow it even if we're a small server. You need to be able to get everyone to get the same resources, because it breaks copyright infringement to share resources like that. Like, say you go out and buy Professor Messer's notes, for instance, get everyone to buy the notes, because you can't share them. Like, I have to take a hard stance on this. You cannot share them with members.
Yep, thank you.
For sure. Also, bringing up exam dumps, I just want to completely say this. Do not post that you are using exam dumps. Don't use exam dumps because they're bad and you don't learn anything from it. But do not use exam dumps. Do not talk about it. Don't even mention it in the server. I have banned 5 people this wave who have brought up that they're using exam dumps, and we just don't tolerate it here. Period.
I appreciate that, because they're kind of pointless.
They are completely pointless. Anyone can memorize a bunch of random questions and not learn how they're interconnected. So what I have planned with the team leads and any team members who want to join is setting up a schedule for how study groups operate and everything. I could very easily say this is how every study group has to operate, that sort of thing, but I'd rather everyone sort of pick and choose their own study style. If you want to learn A+ in a year, go for it. Like that, I don't really mind that too much. It's just we need to all be on the same page with how schedules are made and everything. That's why I want to sort of make them dynamic based on every group's needs and wants. So that sort of answers Die Master's little statement there. Yeah, a Google form would be good. I like the idea of a Google form. It's just everyone who joined through Reddit and everything, I messaged directly. I think that the amount of people that join would be smaller if I also posted a Google form that they had to complete. So if we want to do a Google form now, that's totally okay. I'm completely fine with that with the people here, and then we can create a study group based on that.
Do you, after the study groups are solidified, do you think it would be beneficial, say, if you're studying a certain topic for a week?
Yeah.
Do you think it would be beneficial to maybe have a voice chat once a week, maybe?
Oh yeah.
No. Because I'd
There's
be definitely willing to do something like that too, just to ingrain it.
Yeah, there's 6 voice study channels within the Zero to Hero category. You're more than welcome to use them. They're there for your use. You can schedule once a week, or you can schedule 7 days a week.
So they're like rooms that you would schedule with your. Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so feel free to use them whenever. They're there for your guys' benefit. And I do like the idea of using Google Calendar too.
It's a great insight.
For sure. Any other questions? I see Karen's typing one.
Well, what if we don't use Google?
It's a fair point.
Firefox.
let's worry about that on a group by group basis, because some people aren't gonna use Firefox, some people aren't gonna use Google, some people aren't gonna use Apple Calendar. Let's just focus on a group by group basis for that one.
Yeah, just a question. I'm
For
just
sure.
kind of being a smartass about it.
Yeah, no worries. Like, that's sort of the purpose of having this town hall meeting too, was to sort of rearrange how things are going. If you guys aren't happy with your study group, due to either time zone difference, lack of active members, feel free to direct message me and we can work on a potential solution to the problem and everything. I know a few people already have, and there's still some people who haven't been placed into groups in the registration chat, just because I wanted to lock groups and figure out what works best for as many people as possible. I'll be completely honest and say that chances are there's not going to be a solution that helps everyone. I think I've probably put in over 100 people in the last week into this program, so some people are going to be left unhappy. Hopefully those are the inactive people. The other thing too is the more niche your certification, the less I can do to help you. So if you're studying A+, Security Plus, or Network Plus, you're golden. I can do a decent amount to change what's happening. If you're studying CYSA Plus, Pentest Plus, or CCNA, I am pretty limited in what I can do to sort of change groups around, because some of these groups only have one group.
Hey, Fazation.
Yeah.
Just a quick question, might be more specific, but I'm in group 18. I'm with Gina. We're private messaging. We're the only two who are active in our group. She's Central Time. I'm Eastern Time. That shouldn't really be a problem, but we're the only ones active in our group. I'm sure she would be happy team leading. I'm happy team leading also.
Okay.
We really weren't sure where to go from here.
Okay. Yeah, so basically what I'm going to do is organize people. Like, if you've attended this meeting, chances are you're going to be active in a study group. So what I'll do is I'll rearrange some study groups and everything and move them around. If I can just take the active, like, say there's a group of 3 people who are active with 2 inactives, and then 2 actives with 3 inactives, I'm more than happy just to merge those 2 groups together if they're studying the same certification and go from there.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, jumping into that, I'll be honest. I like to volunteer as a team lead just because I want to participate more and I want to get my certificate at a good range time. I don't want to rush into it per se, but I definitely do want to pass this. They ain't cheap. But with that being said, and I remember in my group there was one person who talked like, "What is the point of this?" And I think that one of the team leads responded that the point of this study group breakdown is to have a conversation, get that ball rolling, but nobody participated. Even when I offered, hey, time zone 6 p.m. Eastern till 10 p.m., I'm available. Let's knock this out. Let's think of something. No kind of feedback, no kind of response. So I like to volunteer just so I can, be a part of getting future groups a little bit more organized and being of assistance where I can.
So we are also looking to get a new moderator for the server. If you've just joined in the last 2 weeks, chances are you're not going to get moderator. But it does look great if you want to apply like 5 or 6 months from now. It helped. This server specifically helped get me a job at a software as a service company as a help desk representative. It's helped a few other people on the who are staff here. It looks great as volunteer experience. So keep that in mind. If that's something you want to aim for, go for it. It's a pretty chill process. Yeah, I'm not going to plug it too much, but just in case it's something you're thinking about, just keep that in the back of your head.
Yeah, I just love helping people. Yeah, I mean, I love helping myself just become a better person. I love helping people around me, especially because we all got the same goals in mind, is getting these shirts in hand. Because, me going from 10 years ago working at McDonald's to now being in insurance, I still want to go into IT. And it sucks that the country sorry for my language, the country lifestyle I had in the past did not lead me to be knowledgeable of what is out there, what is available, such as these certificates. So, it's been really beneficial to at least kind of get this feedback, especially on Reddit, because that's how I became aware of this group. And, but yeah, that's definitely a great insight to do, because all I have under my belt right now is a Google IT certificate on Coursera. And that's like, the brim of the bucket right there. That's not anything compared to A+ certificate.
Yeah, but don't sell yourself short. It's still it's a step in the right direction. It might not stack up against A+ or anything, but it's still a step in the right direction.
Something. I know some things.
Exactly. Any other questions?
Yeah, are we?
Go ahead, man.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I've been talking a lot.
All right. Are we still doing the onboarding meetings then? Is that something
Yep.
we should schedule? Okay.
Yeah. Well, this isn't designed to sort of take the place of the onboarding or anything like that. This is just sort of
Gotcha.
addressing everyone's concerns all at once.
Okay. Thanks.
Instead of saying the same thing multiple times in different DMs, I just wanted to have a nice, friendly voice chat with everyone. And also, it's nice to put some voices to some avatar photos and everything on my end.
I was gonna ask, did you put anywhere like a breakdown of how many people are doing, what cert, just for us to kind of get an idea of the study groups?
Sort of like I have my own internal records of which study group is studying which certification. I don't really have like a total number. I can tell you the biggest is A+ and the smallest is CCNA.
Nice.
Yeah, I know that's probably not what you're looking for, but it's just the truth. When I'm posting on a CompTIA subreddit, I'm going to get less CCNA. Cisco's subreddit is a lot more. What's the word I'm looking? It's a lot more picky about what it'll allow. CompTIA doesn't mind, or at least hasn't stopped me from posting dozens of times on their subreddit about something like this. So this server started from a CompTIA post that I made like 3 years ago, asking for a Discord link because I was on mobile and I didn't see the sidebar that had the Discord invite. So I just made my own, and it's gone from here.
So, that being said, CCNA, for instance, as you're saying, is a very small subset of what everybody else is doing. So, say I'm the only CCNA, would you put me in one of the Network Plus groups? I mean, I know it might be a little different. Actually, I don't even know if it's very different, a little different, how similar they are. Or would you throw me into one of those groups, network related?
I would have a conversation with you if that's what was sort of going to happen. If you're studying CCNA and you're going into a Net Plus study group, you might be able to help out people with concepts and everything, but it won't necessarily benefit you a ton. Like, sure, they have similar concepts and everything, but since the exam objectives are decently different, it wouldn't have a ton of impact, and you won't be necessarily studying what Cisco requires you to study. So it's just more up to you, really.
And we'll see what happens.
For sure.
I was just gonna say you're not alone, Billy. I'm going for CCNA as well.
Exactly. Now you have a friend.
Excellent.
Yeah, am I.
All right.
Any other questions? I can go all night.
I was just gonna say, how do you feel about people who, I don't know if you've already answered this. If you did, I apologize.
No worries.
But how do you feel about people who are already certified? Like I have an A+ and a Net Plus. Like if they needed help or something in different groups or whatever.
It depends on the capacity. So,
Okay.
if you're looking to if you're answering a question, I'm not going to really verify that you're A+ certified if you're just answering a single question. But if you're going into a group saying that you're A+ certified and helping them out daily, weekly, something like that, then I'd have to have a conversation with you and probably ask for proof that you're certified, just because it looks very bad on my side if you're not A+ certified and you're not, I'm not saying that you specifically, I don't, I'm not saying that I don't believe that you're A+ certified. It's just more as an example. For instance, if someone says they're A+ certified and they're not, it looks bad on AlphaGrad that we allowed someone like that to do it. We have a few expert roles. If you look on the right-hand side of your screen, if you're on PC or Mac, there's a subcategory called IT Repair. That is sort of our expert role in being A+ certified. That person who is currently on, not to get everyone to focus on him or anything like that, is A+ certified. I verified they're A+ certified, so I don't have to necessarily worry about them helping. So I can do something similar for you after this meeting or some point in the future.
All right, it was just a question. Thank you.
For sure.
I have a question.
For sure.
I know I already asked this, but I was just gonna say, most people in my group, we started this group maybe back in May. I joined this group, And like I was there for each other person to join, and like we studied like crazy because our security plus like it was expiring, like the test was expiring like in July, so we were all like studying like crazy.
Yep.
And like a bunch of us already passed it, and then some went on to get like the new version of the test. They passed that. So like now in our group we don't really talk about certifications anymore because we all like got to that milestone. So now we just like talk about like work life and things like that. So I just wanted, because I know this program is for the Zero to Hero thing is for like studying for certifications, but like are we okay with just being a group if we don't like focus on that? Because I mean, since we already got it.
If I had a really bad problem, like if I was really upset that you guys weren't talking about a certification, I probably would have removed the channel a while ago and talked to you guys before then. I don't necessarily mind that much that you guys are just chatting. Maybe in the future we'll change it so you guys have your own sort of separate chat outside of Zero to Hero, but as it stands right now, unless a group of people is horribly offended that study group 2 is not studying a certification in this subcategory, like it's not harming anyone, so I don't care.
Okay then, because I mean I like the people in my group and they help out because like these days I'm not really focused on the certification, but I'm just like trying to learn like security tools and stuff, but they are very helpful.
Yeah, no, like I said, if they're not causing any harm, I don't mind. There's two or three study groups that are still in the Zero to Hero sort of category that are from older groups that I've just kept because they keep chatting with each other and talking. If the study group that you were in went inactive for like a few months, then I'd probably remove it, like I did with a few others before we started this wave of intake, but nope, I don't have any problem with it, so others won't either.
Are they all just called like study group 14 or 15?
Yeah, that's
Somewhere.
that's pretty much just their names, just so it makes it easier on my end to sort of keep track of everything. If you want to name your study group something fun,
No.
sure. I mean, I'm not going to have that big of a fit over it.
No, I was just curious.
Yeah.
Quick question.
When would you?
Whoa,
Go ahead.
people at once. Okay, let's do Cynic,
Rock, paper,
Phoenix,
scissors.
and then whoever was down below my name in the voice chat.
So if we're setting up our own times and providing our own resources, that's fine. But let's say I have Professor Messer's videos and someone else has the Myers book, and between us and Google, we still not getting a concept down. We're not understanding. Can we use you as a resource, like pull you in, talk to you for a little bit, or maybe the person under IT repair or someone else?
Yeah, you can pull. I'll be completely honest. I'm studying my A+ too, so I'm not the best person to pull in. I'm just sort of the person organizing everything. I would recommend pulling in someone from IT repair if they want to. I'm not sure what their sort of schedule is. I know they just got a pretty good job. Eamon is the only one I think I've confirmed with A+, so they're the only person in IT repair. If you want to pull in other people, I have no problem with that. Going back to the copyright thing that I said, if the resource is free, then it doesn't matter if you guys are sharing it. So like Professor Messer's videos, for instance, are fine to share around and everything. It's just his notes that are behind a paywall that it's not okay. Just to quickly transition. Yeah.
I kind of have a two-part questions. One is, let's say I have a book for A+ professor. I forgot what kind of book I have. Anyways, let's say we start doing a video chat within my group, and I want to read passages off that book. Is that not allowed? It's reading along. It's not sharing information. It's not sending information. It is reading out loud on that book an option? Or
I'm not an expert on copyright law. There's also differences based on Canadian law, which is where I live, versus American law. So I'm like, so long as you're not reading the entire textbook out to people, I don't think it's going to be a problem. If you're reading a passage, I don't think it matters that much. I'm also not going to be in every voice chat that is studying, so I'm not going to be like some horrific police person policing it and everything. If you're reading out a passage, I think you're probably fine.
I would say at worst, I mean, I think something really beneficial is just going over those definitions in case wording is different from different resources. So that way, even the grasp of that material is even more concrete. So that's my idea, because I was watching some videos and I'm reading my book and I'm like, why does this phrasing sound different from this? But it all aligns the same. So I think that's what's going to be beneficial once we start leaving this on. But the second part to that question is, at one point, would you start filtering out people? We're getting little to no participation, just people hanging out in the server room that joined with some interest but did not stick around and are just staying around? Would you ever go through a filter and see who is or not participating to kick them out?
Oh, I'm already going through that filter. um,
Oh my god, I tried that.
basically, it's going to change. It's going to be sort of a dynamic role and everything. If someone hasn't sent a single message since they've been assigned into the program, they are going to be removed from the program, like, by Friday. Like, if you've even sent a single message, that's fine for me for now. Again, this is going to be beneficial if team leads step in to help this. Micromanaging and checking on 100+ people is difficult. So if a team lead messages me and it's just like, hey, we haven't heard from this person in 3 weeks, can you send them a message? I can send them a message, see if they're still interested in the program. If not, they can be removed from the study group. That's totally fine.
Yeah, so I remember you mentioning something about like an IT repair. This is the first time that I'm hearing that. Is it like a separate group or something like in the server? If so, like what do they necessarily do? If someone had a question about like pulling you in, or if you're not available, there's someone from like the IT group.
Yeah, so it's not really a separate program or anything. It's just more, I couldn't think of a creative way of saying that someone's passed and verified that they passed their A+ and everything. So that's sort of what the IT repair role is. The other roles are like, what are they called? I think they're called like network expert, cybersecurity expert, that sort of stuff. And those are if you've passed, like, I think the base requirement for network expert or something is CCNA or something like that. And then cybersecurity is CYSA or Pen Test Plus. So they're more just a way of us manually confirming that someone has passed their certification more than anything else. It's not really their own subgroup. Right now, AlphaGrad is very, very zero to hero driven. We don't have a lot of things going on beyond that. We're working on changing that and everything, but we just haven't yet. Probably new year-ish, we'll start to change things around and adding more programs and that sort of stuff. But right now, like, zero to hero takes up most of our sort of resources.
Okay, so how would you get that particular role? For example, I'm A+ certified. I plan on taking my Network Plus exam sometime between the next couple weeks.
Yep.
So how would you do something like that?
To get the role?
Yes.
Direct message myself or let's say Nebula saying that, hey, you're certified. We'll ask for verification that you're certified and then we can give you the role. It's like a 5-minute process.
Okay, so it's just simple.
Yeah, nice and easy.
Okay.
I want to give people as many expert roles as I can. It's just much better all around for like the server and yourself to have the expert role.
Right.
Yeah, I just do you have like a success rate, for like the study groups and stuff like that? I mean, study group 2 seems like everybody probably got their certs. So I mean, that's pretty like awesome.
It varies per wave. So this is V1. It's just sort of a fancy way of saying everything else was just us trying on different methods on how to do stuff. So this is actually wave 5 of us running it. Wave 1 probably had a success rate of, these are estimations, they're not literal. I'll be completely honest, wave 1 had a success rate of probably 35 to 40% of people who got certified. That is including inactive people. Wave 2 probably had 40, 45. Wave 3 was our best and probably had maybe approaching 50% certified, including the inactives. And wave 4 was probably again down to 30, 35%. If that makes sense.
Okay. No.
It's since nobody's paying anything for it, it's hard to keep people motivated on focusing on a study group. So our success rate isn't going to be like comparable to what like CompTIA charges. You know how when you buy a CompTIA certification, they push their study program on it or their study resources on it. Since you're paying like $200 for it, you're going to be much more inclined to ace it and pass it versus something like this.
Right. No. Yeah, that makes sense.
I had a quick question. I was just wondering if, like you said, you have like some people in here who've already passed certificates or are still like active in their chats. I think there's only like me and Karen active in our chat. We're like in group 19.
Yep.
Would you be open to them like giving us like some sort of tips, at least like how they do their schedules and stuff like that? Because we have no idea. We both are starting from like square one. So like I don't even have an idea of what sounds like a good amount of time to study? Like, how many days should we schedule? How many days should we meet? Like, are you open to like us getting advice from other people who've already gone through the process, like showing us like what their schedule was and stuff? Or like, can you recommend us like a study schedule or something?
Um, yeah. So let's break this down into a few different parts just to make it nice and easy. The most successful groups that we have had are study group 2 and 7 in the Zero to Hero program. I don't mind you messaging people from those study groups, asking them how they succeeded, that sort of stuff. I do recommend not all going for the same person, because if all of a sudden they're going to wake up to 20 messages with no idea why, they're going to freak out. So I know Eamon is sort of the person that most of you might target. So just spread it out and ask people. Nebula was a part of group 7, so he'll be a good person to ask too on how they succeeded. We will also be working with sort of the team leads and everything to formulate a study plan. So from there we can sort of like a few people have said already that people learn at different speeds, which is 100% true. So what might take someone 2 weeks to study for 1001 might take others months and months and months. So it sort of varies between person to person.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I will be rebalancing groups, as I've said before. Just this is more the trial and error phase where the active people will stay active, and then I can work with them and reorganize them into the best possible study groups. So groups aren't necessarily final yet, but they might start to look more final as the days progress.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, can I ask a question if you're okay?
Yeah, go for it. Ask a question. I don't mind.
I'm sorry. So I'm in part of group chat 19 with Damsley and Angel.
Yep.
I'm happy that they're here. So in my group, there, like I said, there's 5 people there, but our supposed team lead has actually left. So it kind of brings us to that's why me and that's why Damsley was a little bit like helpless, because all it's just 3 of us are a little bit helpless because we kind of relied on that person to help us out with like like making like schedules for us and everything. So I kind of reached out to Cynic Clinic. He is part of group 19, and he's also like studying for A+ as well.
Yep.
And in his group chat there's like 2 people, him and there's another member that's active and others are not like available at all. So like me and him, we were just talking about stuff, and then me and him were like talking, and then we were like, what if we could like possibly like link together and like possibly learn? That would be helpful. So will you be okay, because I know you're the host, you're the one who's like organizing everything, and I don't want to like put a pressure or anything.
Yeah.
Will you be okay if they could possibly like come to our group chat and study together?
Yeah, so I want to give people a chance to something might have come up in either in your group or Cynic's group. So I just want to make sure that people have a chance to participate. If something happened and they haven't been able to access their computer in the last few days, then I would still want to give them a chance before, because it's much harder for me to recreate groups if I've removed someone for inactivity and then look at re-adding them again. So I'm giving people till Friday to send their first message. If they haven't, then I'm going to restructure the groups, and then we can talk about it between the 2 groups and myself about merging the groups and assigning a team lead for that group.
All right, thank you so much.
Also, with team leads, if once I've sort of merged the groups on Friday and everything, and I still haven't heard from a team lead, I'm going to be assigning team leads. And then if you're really, really against it, you can back out. But it's more going to be me choosing people who are active in that group and assigning them team leads.
I have a question, I guess.
For sure.
So I'm not sure if it's been answered, but Karen kind of brought up a point I've been thinking about. So during this lull where we're waiting for people to either come from disappearance or appear from non-existence, I'm a pretty avid Discord user, so I'm constantly going through all the channels
Yep.
one way or another. Is there any general rule against speaking in other study groups channels, or do we just keep it to the general certification channels?
It varies. Like, there's a reason why you all can see each other's study groups. We've had it before where you can only see your own study group. It really depends on what you sort of like if a study group is having a conversation on a section of a certification that you're studying and you want to know more, if the group's okay with you messaging, I'm okay with you messaging. I would, however, if you're asking like a general question relating to the certification, I would use a certifications channel, not necessarily a study group. But if they're having an active discussion and something that interests you, go ahead and join the discussion. I don't mind it. We are in the process of also working on sort of a trivia night thing. So how this would sort of work is in its most basic form, we're going to pair groups against each other for a night of trivia, that sort of stuff. If you're a trifecta certification, you will be paired against other people studying that certification, and there'll be questions based on what you've already studied. If you're the only study group, if you're a your own study group and everything, like your CCNA, and there's no other CCNA group, you will be placed against like your own team members and everything to see who sort of has the most knowledge. It's still in its early development stages. We're probably not going to see it till November or December, but it is something we are working on.
So I'm just putting it out there. I'm pretty serious about getting my certification.
Yep.
And I would be willing to be a potential team lead.
For sure.
I don't have the knowledge, so I'm just saying that. But in regards to studying and staying on track, I'm pretty serious about that. So
I'm with team leads. To be completely honest, I don't really care what your knowledge level is. I'm just looking for someone who can report to me, is the main thing, and discuss any sort of problems. Team leads will also have access to one of our internal Google Sheets, where you can sort of request features, have sort of questions and everything that all the team leads can have. And if another team lead sees like an idea or something and they want to adopt it, they can too. It's just since I haven't had a lot of people sign up for team leads, I haven't really shared it with anyone yet. So the more people who sign up tonight for team lead, the better.
I'll sign up for team lead too. I don't know if anyone wants it.
Just everyone who's signing up for team lead, just post in the team lead chat and what group you're in, so it's easier for me.
Okay, I had like one more thing to say. I know everyone, like the past couple people touched on it, and they were saying like contacting like between study groups. Like I'm still open to like learning more and like staying like fresh with these topics. So I mean, like I'm not completely done with like studying security topics and things like that. So I'm like open for like the trivia thing, or if there's
sure.
gonna be anything where we can contact each other's study groups, or if anyone wants to DM me or anything like that, I'm open to that because I'm always like trying to continually learn.
For sure. The biggest thing that I'm trying to achieve out of version 1 of Zero to Hero versus the previous waves of intake is I want people to create connections and people that they can talk to, rely on, that sort of stuff to help them as they learn more into IT. It makes me super happy to see Team Study Group 2 and 7 to continue with each other throughout different certifications and everything. I want your study group, I want to create a study group where all 5 or 6 of you are like able to talk to each other and build sort of a team and everything, have shared goals, that sort of stuff, and build long-term connections. That's my goal. If that's not something you want to do, that's totally fine. But that's sort of my goal with this version of Zero to Hero.
Yeah, I totally don't mind. Like, I don't know who said it earlier, but it like if you wanted to contact me through DMs or anything and just like ask for like advice about like study groups and like scheduling and all that other stuff, I can just give you some advice of the things that we did. So I'll make sure my DMs are open.
Perfect.
Just a quick question.
Yep.
So after this, you're gonna start sending out DMs, I guess, with what group you're in, or?
Oh, yeah, sorry. You're like the only person in here who isn't assigned to a group. I pretty much put a hold on group registration and everything. Everyone in here except for pretty much you, Tomato Muncher, is in a study group already. So I will start assigning people on the list to study groups now. It's just I wanted to have a conversation where if we wanted to switch study groups around, we can do that before I add more people to the program. But yeah, you'll be added to a study group pretty fast. Probably by 11 p.m. my time.
All right, sweet. It's Toltemacher, in case you're wondering.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's all right.
I can't really recall what group I was put in not so long ago, but I know I haven't received any direct message from my last interaction. So if I can either get confirmation what group I am or reassigned, I would greatly appreciate you.
Yep, no problem.
In terms of like what's gonna happen after this town hall, essentially what's gonna happen is gonna be a Google form sent out about like time zones, time of availabilities, or is the study groups essentially gonna stay the same?
Let's do it. What do you guys want? Like, I'm more than accommodating for most requests and everything. Let's if everybody wants me to do a Google form, I'll do a Google form and send it out to everyone, and we can reshuffle groups based on that. I like the idea that Karen suggested, actually, of doing it based on when you're available to study, and from there I can build study groups based on that. I can also look at maybe shifting people who from inactive groups maybe a little bit prematurely into create a full group. It's really based on what you guys want to do. I want to create this as flexible as possible while still hosting it and everything, so it's really up to whatever you guys want me to do.
Yeah, I'm all for Google form, and like you said, like maybe doing times of availability and then filtering it between certifications and then filtering it between time zones. Like I totally don't mind doing that. I feel like it just creates more organization. And to be honest, I feel like it's more smooth because also I know someone suggested Google Calendar. I use Google Calendar and I love it. So I definitely think something like that would be very useful.
I use Google Calendar for my job and everything, so I like it. But I can totally understand if some people don't want to use like Google for data collection or anything like that. It's up to you guys. That will be broken down on a group by group basis though, because just so we can accommodate. Like if an entire group wants to use Google Calendar, that's great. It makes it easy for me. If there are some people in some groups that don't want to use Google Calendar, then I can reorganize it from there.
Sounds good.
Yep. Cool.
I got a question.
For sure.
All right, so I'm the team leader of 4. What can I do to be like the best possible leader for you, like to help you out with what my team like is doing?
Great question. Basically, tell me if any problems are occurring. We're pretty fast with like serious problems and everything. Like if someone's sharing exam dumps, we're pretty fast at combating that, that sort of thing. Pretty much, if you have any suggestions, reach out. Communication makes the best team lead. That's honestly all I really need out of team leads and everything. If you are aiming to be a mod or something, like I said prior, that would be a good sort of that'd be a good conversation to have early and everything. That way we can sort of look at it together. Communication, making sure that your team is included. Your team meetings and everything are including everyone, that sort of thing. It works great. That's all I'm really looking for in a team leader. What I might do with team leads too is I'll create a new team lead chat, and if you're a team leader, I'll create a special role for you so only team leaders can access that chat. And if you have questions that you think might benefit other groups, you can ask me it in there. Or if you still just want to direct message me because you don't want the other team leaders to say it, which I can't really think of an example where that would apply, you can just do that too.
I got a personal type question.
Sure.
Are you a student? Are you in college, high school? I know you mentioned you're studying for like your A+. Do you have any like future goals or anything like that?
Do I really sound like I'm a high school student? Wow, I must sound really young. No, I'm not a high school student. I'm 23. I'm 23. I live in British Columbia, Canada. Here's my social insurance number. Basically, I'm broke, so I had to go get a job, like a decent job. I was working retail in a tech department for 3 years, I think, and then so I was doing that while going to school, but it wasn't paying enough, so I couldn't really afford school, and I didn't really want to go on student loans. So I got a job at a software as a service company called Checkfront. It's pretty much a tourist. It's a website integration that allows for bookings for tourism and everything like that. To summarize it really poorly and fast. So I'm probably taking a year off, and then my goal is to go into cybersecurity personally. So I'm gonna get certifications while I'm working because I couldn't. I know some people can do it, but I just couldn't focus on doing school work and studying for certifications all at once. So I sort of failed on the certifications aspect. I didn't fail A plus or anything. I just sort of didn't put enough time into it, so I didn't feel confident enough to go take it or anything like that. So now I'm more doing work and studying certifications. For the resources that I'm using, I'm currently using a combination of Messer and Myers, so pretty standard and everything. I have Myers' videos on Udemy, and I've been sort of watching Messer if I don't understand a concept too well. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question, or have any other?
Yeah, I was just curious. Turns out we're kind of in a similar boat. Like I was in college, didn't really like it, too expensive. Felt locked down, so like I'm also working, studying certifications, and well, I'm part time at like a new college, but like I'm slowing that down as well. Turns out you said Myers. How do you, because I had the same resources like Messer and Myers. Personally, I kind of like Myers. I decided to switch to Jason Dion for Network Plus. I can't really tell yet if one is better than the other. I know Myers tends to like mumble a lot or like talk about like I guess off topic things.
Yeah.
Video. It really depends, but I was wondering your opinion on that.
Like what's a good way of describing this? Pretty much I have ADHD, so I sometimes find Messer a little hard to focus on. So like if I'm watching like 2 hours of Messer, I'm going to typically get sidetracked. It's not his fault or anything. It's just I find it harder to focus on him. Myers is more of a personality too, so it allows me to focus a little bit more. So I can focus on him, and then if I'm having trouble with a concept, I find that it's better to go to Messer than to watch it on Myers' Udemy course. Also, never pay full price for a Udemy course. There's discount codes everywhere, but that's a side point. Yeah, so that's sort of how I like to combine it. And then I also bought James Dion's practice test for A+, so I'll be doing that once I feel a little bit more confident in my ability to pass 1001.
Yeah. All right, thank you. I do like Jason Dion's courses. His practices are a lot of people say they're harder than the actual certification exam, and I do agree. But that kind of like prepares you even more. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
For sure.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
I'm just like, I don't know how to use Discord, but is there a way for us to see like the list of people that are in our study group? Because I know like we can tag the whole group, but is like there a way to like see which people are in our group? Because like I know the people that are like active, but I've like forgotten the usernames of the other people. I know there's more people in our group, but I just don't remember what their names are.
Yes and no. It depends. Like, since your group is older, we might still have the roles assigned to people. Like, study group 2 might still have some people assigned to that role and everything. But for the newer groups, it's a lot more difficult because I just want to get rid of the inactive people. But for like your study group, it might be possible. I'll talk to you after this town hall about it to see if it's possible.
Okay, I was just wondering because I just forgot some of who was in our group, but I guess like if they're not active, you're taking care of that either way. So.
With study group 2 and 7, I'm a lot more relaxed on inactivity. To be honest, just because I know study group 7 is still studying for Net Plus, I believe, but for your study group, I'm really relaxed. It's just more the new people who are joining in don't want to be saddled with inactive people, but I'm a lot more relaxed with the older study groups.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of adding to her topic,
Sure.
in Discord, like I have other, groups with friends and whatever, and you can add the entire group. I haven't seen that available in my study group. I asked a question, I think it was last night or the night before, and it was answered, which awesome, guys, thank you. But I was trying to add everyone, and I didn't see that at all.
New study groups don't have that ability. If you guys want, I can deploy that again. It's just it'll take me a little while to do it, but I would be more open to doing that after the groups are solidified because I don't want to have to micromanage it. Like once I do it, I want to just have it done and don't have to come back to it or anything. So if you guys want that feature, once groups are solidified, I can do that, no problem.
Absolutely,
Then
that'd be cool.
I can set it just so like if you're study group 14, I can just have it so like at study group 14 and it pings everyone. That's no problem. It's just I want it to be concrete before I do it.
Right, yeah. So after you solidify everything, that would be awesome.
Sure. I'll add it to my list.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. Think we're good.
Hey, Faz. Sorry,
Hey.
I was unmuting myself. Do you mind if I touch on something that we brought up a few seconds ago?
Go for it. MDM is one of our mods, just so people know who you are. Just a quick little introduction, but yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Matt, by the way. Just to give a quick synopsis of myself, I'm in my 30s and I work at Apple. And I'm also currently taking my certifications. I have my A+, as well as my Google IT certification. That being said, this is kind of a touchback to someone who was talking about the Messer and Dion.
Yep.
Honestly, my recommendation is take every practice test. Don't just stick with one or two. If you can afford to do all of them, but like Faz was saying, there's always discounts on Udemy. And there's always discounts on like most of these courses. For a personal experience, when I took the A+ exam, if I hadn't taken Myers' practice exams and Dion's and Messer's, I don't think I would have passed. I passed with like a greater than passing score. Like I passed like well within over 100 points over. But there was so many questions that I was just unsure of. And just the way the wording and all of the different tests do different things to reinforce different parts of the exam for you. So I would recommend branching out and studying different materials as much as you possibly can.
Diversify study materials. So if you have any Apple questions, make sure to directly message Matt.
Yeah.
I'm also an Apple technician. If you need Apple based questions, I'm just making a bad joke.
we can have a pretty interesting Genius bar.
Exactly. I don't even really use Apple products that much unless it's for work. So, yeah. Did anyone have anything else to add?
I was just about to ask, like, I forgot what your name was, Matt. How did you? What do you currently, if you don't mind me asking, what do you currently do at Apple? How'd you get up to that position?
I'm a technical specialist. I really I applied. So Apple's a weird company, as I'm sure most of us know. Like I originally got hired in the role as a product specialist, which is just the salesperson you see on the floor. But like because Apple doesn't work on commission, they hire based on personality, and the managers liked me, and they felt I would fit good with the culture. I had my A+ certifications before I started applying. None of that mattered. And then once I was in, I just blended well with the culture and talked to people. As long as you're good at talking, and as long as you're good and like you show empathy, specifically towards Apple, rather, as long as you show empathy towards people and understanding of situations, like you can find a way to get into the tech side pretty easily. Because a lot of people who got there don't want to be in the tech side.
Yeah, just to sort of add, when I worked retail, I worked at an Apple service center, and I was an iPhone technician for about a year. Basically, when you're a technician for Apple, correct me if I'm wrong, because you work for Apple, Matt, and I work sort of third-party Apple. Basically, there are two ways to become a technician. You can become a technician through Apple, or you can become a technician through a service center, like I did. My service center was London Drugs. And basically you just express interest to like your manager at that company, and then they reach out to Apple and provide you with the training materials. It's really easy. It's like a 1-day certification type thing, and you're able to study through Apple's resources. They provide all the resources. Back when I did it, it was like $30 an exam, and you had to do 2 exams. But now I think it's free, and you just use Apple's internal resources for training and everything. So it's really nice and well done. But yeah.
On our side, it's obviously a little bit different, but it's similar.
For sure.
But like, to be honest, like this is applicable to pretty much any role in life. If you want something, be vocal about it, and then just be willing to do the work to get there. Same thing with tech. Like, there's a lot of unfortunate, like, bad starting positions in IT, but you do it for a little while, and then you keep wanting to get to a better position, and you'll eventually get there if you keep trying.
Yeah. Hopefully that answers your question, Oliver.
Sweet, thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to add to people who were like saying like what materials they use to study and things like that. I studied for Security Plus and I was taking the 501 exam. So that one is like retired now. So I don't know if it would still apply to the new one, but I was just going to say like it's really to your benefit if you use different sources. Because I started out with like Professor Messer, but I think if I had only used him like from the beginning to the end, I don't think I would have passed. Because like the way I studied was like in layers. Like if I would go through a topic on like Messer, and if I didn't understand it, then I would go through it on Dion, and if I still didn't understand it, I would get like, I don't know if you guys know Gibson. He had a book. It was like really helpful. I would like go through his book and like take those tests and things like that. So I think it's really helpful to like use multiple resources because like different people explain stuff in different ways, and like you may not understand the way Messer explains something, but you may understand it when like someone else explains it. So I say like it's best to like use multiple resources. And also I will say this. I used Dion's practice test and I used Messer's practice test. Like people said Dion's tests are like the questions are kind of harder than what you expect, but I think Messer's tests were like really the most helpful for me when I took the exam. Just gonna say that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah,
input.
definitely agree. Like,
Mind if I
like I
jump
said,
in real quick?
Go for it.
So I studied and I took the 501 exam. I unfortunately did not pass. I just want to say for everybody else that's either transferring over from 501 studies and or starting at 601, there's a really steep difference between the two exams. 601 has taken the skeleton of 501 and just like really like changed around the order of things and just like beefed up the material. So if you're starting to study for 601, I definitely don't recommend you buying 501 textbooks or listening to 501 videos. I don't know if anyone here would agree with that. But if you do that, you'll be missing information. You'll be missing a lot of material that the 601 has added. I just want to say that because now that 501 has expired, a lot of textbooks and different study materials may be less expensive, but don't go for them.
Yeah, for sure. Quickly adding on that, like if you're studying a CompTIA certification, pretty much just take the exam objectives, print them off, and start crossing off stuff once you know it. That's also a good thing. Always at least look at the stuff that you need to pass the certification on the objective list and everything at the very least. But like you have to at least look at it. I like circling stuff I don't know, crossing off stuff I do, that sort of stuff. Just keep that in mind when you're studying. If you don't ever use resources from an outdated exam, just in general. Like it's a tip that can be applied to every single different CompTIA certification at least.
To piggyback off all of that again, a big issue for me personally was I learn by doing. I am not the best test taker in the world. A big challenge for me is just the way the tests are worded, and CompTIA loves to word questions in a way that aren't realistic in real life, because in real life you troubleshoot in different ways in your head. So a lot of it is just learning the material and learning how to take the test. Like learning how to take the test specifically to the way it's written. Exactly. So that I think that's also a way that you should study. Yeah. And don't be so hard on yourself if you're a bad test taker like I am, for instance.
Exactly, yeah. Everybody learns at different rates. Die Master, I see you unmuted yourself. Would you like to add anything?
Yep, I have a question.
For sure.
For understanding the compatibility between the paths and troubleshooting, I usually watch YouTube videos, sort of like PC builds. Is it okay to watch those videos?
like in a group setting? Like, are you asking like, is it okay to share like a group, like a video with a bunch of people?
No, like I watch PC build videos just to understand the compatibility between the parts and some troubleshooting methods and some problems that might appear while you're building a PC. So, do you think it's good to watch those videos? And also, I am recommending that to other members too.
Oh yeah, like it's like I wouldn't use that in place of a video designed to tackle the hardware section of A+, but if you want to use that to sort of help you learn and understand how everything is interconnected, go for it. It's a great idea.
I did the same. For example, using Linus Tech Tips. I know he makes like a lot of PCs. When I started my A+, I didn't know how a RAM stick looked like, or like I was confused. So whenever he walked through it, he was like, oh, okay, like I'm plugging in a RAM stick. Just for like an example. But yeah, that definitely helped me out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, anything you guys want to use that could help you, as long as it's coming from a reputable source. If it helps you, it helps you. That's awesome. It doesn't have to be Professor Messer or Jason Dion. Like I watched Linus Tech Tips videos as well. I watched a bunch of other YouTubers as well. As long as you can verify that the information they're giving you is correct, then you're fine. Right? As long as it helps you.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to say, because like after you like get the certifications and all this thing, like now I'm at the stage where I'm like trying to find work and things like that. Is there like anyone that would be willing to like give advice of like what's the next step after you like get the certifications, and like as a terms of like employment, like any tips or things that they can share?
My advice for that is everybody is going to have advice for that. Not everyone's advice is going to be correct. So just sort of like go deeper into that. We do have our LinkedIn connecting channel, so throw in your LinkedIn if you want. Mine's in there. I think all of our staff's is in there. If you can connect with people there, that sort of stuff. My like I've applied to like 3 places in my entire life. My recommendation is just make sure you get someone to professionally look over your resume. I've looked at people's resumes before. I can make sort of editorial suggestions and everything like that. Take everything else I say with a grain of salt. I don't know what it's like in America. This is from a Canadian perspective. But in Canada, we have free services for people to just walk in and say, hey, how does my resume look? What changes would you suggest? And it's totally free and easy to do. I don't know if that's privatized in America or not, but it's just one of the social services we have in Canada, which if you are in Canada, I highly, highly, highly suggest you take advantage of that. In America, maybe you can speak more on it, Matt, but if there is something like that that's free in America, I recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any specific free services. Certain major cities will have it. To be honest, from an American's perspective, just don't get frustrated. It's tough. There's a ton of people vying for limited jobs. It could take you a while. It could take you a short amount of time. It's impossible to say. I know people who, out of finishing the Trinity, like the CompTIA Trinity, I know one person it took a month to find a job, and I know one person who's still looking 9 months later.
Yeah.
It's really dependent on your resume. It's dependent on your connections. Reaching out, honestly, not to toot our own horn, but like joining a group of communities, like joining a community of people who are in tech, getting your name out there, networking is the single best thing you can possibly do. Whether it's going to your local computer store, whether it's going to any other place and just talking to other people and getting your name out there. And so like we're more well known. That's one of the best possible ways you can get an IT job. Like before I got hired by Apple, I can't even tell you how many jobs I applied, and I can't tell you how sick I am of seeing the entry level requires 3 to 5 years experience. Like I am beyond sick of that, but it really just boils down to like you got to keep your head up. It's tough. I hope you have much better success than I did, and I hope you can find a job as quickly as possible. But also sometimes it's just about being willing to take a less than stellar IT job for a couple of months than to find a better one in a few more months down the line, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just to sort of touch on that, it also depends on where you live. Like,
Yeah.
So it really depends on the location that you are in too. If you're looking for advanced jobs in a rural American town or something like that, you're gonna have a lot of trouble. In a city, it might be a little bit easier, but there'll be more competition. So just keep in mind that location plays a role too.
I live in New York City. It's tough. There's a lot of competition.
Yeah. But yeah.
Another piece of advice that I recently found out that sometimes goes overlooked. For example, I applied last week to like an IT desktop support position, and in their job description they said experience in Jamf management is preferred. And for Jamf management is basically like a central application that manages Apple devices specifically. Anyways, I won't lie to you, I had no idea like what it was, what it does, and why it's even called Jamf management. Anyways, before my interview, I literally just looked up Jamf management. To my surprise, they had like a lab demo that you can like mess with and stuff and settings like that. Do things like that in terms of what's in the job description. If they'd like you to be experienced in a particular application and you have no idea what it is, literally just search it up for like an hour, mess with it, find articles online about it, and then that'll give you something to talk about in the interview. Do be honest though, and perhaps be like, I don't have direct experience, but I've done a lot of research and this is what I found, and then maybe ask questions about it. And it kind of shows that like you care about what the organization uses and that you're interested in that particular technology.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of some of the best advice I've seen from Messer as well as Dion, a consistent piece of advice is look at the LinkedIn posts and look at what the requirements are. If you're noticing that one area in particular is requiring a lot of people from like know even basic Python, then you know, hey, I should learn some Python. If you know like someone's using, Active Directory a ton, like in one area is using Active Directory a ton, then you know that you should kind of put a lot of focus into that.
All right. So we have been chatting for about 90 minutes now, so I'm going to go ahead and call this town hall done. If you have any specific questions or questions you just don't want to ask in front of an entire group, go ahead and direct message me and we will see what we can do. As for team leads, that's probably going to be the first thing that I do, is organize sort of the team leads into a group chat, and then we can start looking at the resources that I've created for you guys to use for your groups. And yeah, I look forward to getting to know each of you a little bit better. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Do that, and yeah, have a good day.
Thanks, guys. This was awesome.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Also, you can feel free to reach out to me at all if you need anything as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you for the opportunity.
For sure.
And that trivia gonna be good.
Yeah, it is.
I love trivia. You don't even know.
I'm glad you're excited.
Damn right I am. I'm like God at trivia.
I look forward to you doing trivia.
That board gonna be cleared.
Okay, see you later.
All right, take care.